like to introduce again myself, Jerry Wilhite. I've been in the food service industry for, wow, over 40 years now. 22 years at Reikoff, Sexton, U.S. Food Service. Ran national accounts, was a branch president, did almost everything in distribution. Now I'd like to introduce our COO, Dana Sharon.
Hi, I'm Dana Sharon. I've been in the food service industry almost 30 years, mostly in distribution, doing contracts, contract compliance, and our audits, and been doing consulting for about the second half of that. I'd like to introduce Sharon Sisneski, our Director of Supplier Relations.
Hi, I'm Sharon Sisneski. I've been in food service for over 40 years. I worked every position in restaurants, including owning, and then moved into brokering and working in distribution as a VP of purchasing, as well as sales in national accounts.
Well, obviously, when we're on these webinars, there's been a lot of them going on since the pandemic hit, and but we get a chance to get together and talk on a daily basis and several times a day and talk about things that are going on in the industry, whether it be with our clients or it be amongst ourselves. And we thought it'd be good to get together and have an opportunity to have these conversations, but have you listen in and be involved. So we're excited today. And I'd like to start off with a question to our COO, Dana Sharon. As one of the owners and founders, Dana, of our company, what do you think the biggest challenges are that are facing our trading partners today?
Right now, everyone is having to do more with a lot less. Operators have fewer customers. Social distancing is making less space available to service them. There are fewer full-time employees to service the customers, and the operator is working on a shoestring budget. Financially, they're doing what they have to do just to endure. Distributors have fewer customers, SKUs, and full-time employees to service their accounts. There are fewer full truckloads for inbound and outbound freight, which is driving up the cost for everybody. Not to mention past dues, receivables, write-offs, and shrink for their bottom line. For manufacturers have fewer customers, full-time employees, and SKUs, and have really cut down on the number of proprietary products that they're manufacturing, and therefore they aren't available to be stocked at the distributor. Again, they have the same issue with past due receivables, write-offs, and shrink. Full-time employees are available, but from a timing strategy, when is it best to bring someone back that you can consistently afford to pay without the consistency of hours? The quality of the worker who wants to come back, especially with the unemployment payments the way they were, was an issue. That increased dollars was holding back people coming back into the market. Businesses have shuttered, and it is a current and ongoing problem. One of the right now, I believe 40% of operators have closed. One of the largest independents was forced into bankruptcy. Most large manufacturers have scaled back, and many small ones have shuttered. All of these things are creating profitability issues, anxiety issues, service issues, and with increased instability to an industry that has been very unstable anyway. Jerry, with that, having responsibility for FSIC's analytics, what have you seen since the pandemic started?
Well, Dana, obviously the biggest issue is when you cut back in a number of people that are taking care of a customer, whether it be the account executive that has the direct relationship with the operator, or the people that work for him in support or her in support to take care of that customer. What we've seen is a lot of those people were laid off. I think some of the numbers that I heard, there were 100,000 people in distribution for one of the big broadliners that were laid off. I know that the largest independent distributor in the United States today is in a bankruptcy mode, and obviously have furloughed or laid off people. And because of that, there's a lot, again, get back to the statement in the question that you addressed, is people are doing a lot more than they were doing before. And because of that, there's a lot of errors. And there's a lot of errors in a lot of different areas. I've used the terminology over time that there's an 8 to 22% error rate. And what I mean by that is an 8 to 22% of all transactions off of all invoices have some kind of error rate to them. whether it be price, product, pack size, mispick, you name it. Back when I was in distribution, I actually got bonused as a branch president to have a perfect order at 72%. When you think about that, I was getting bonused when there was 28% errors. So, when people say fill rate of 99.9%, that means something went on the truck or something was picked. Doesn't mean it was the right item. Doesn't mean it was at the right price. But the bottom line is something was wrong with it. And what we're finding out today with a lot less people and having eyes on the ball, that there's several issues with pricing errors, contracts not getting loaded, pricing errors just in general, contracts not getting in and to the distributor for them to load, either from the customer or from the manufacturer to the customer and then in, or through us as a third party and in. So without technology, it's tough to know those things. The other thing is there's a lot of different products being shipped to customers today. We had a customer that all three of us were on the phone with this week, and where they have a speck of bacon and maybe 2 items, they're getting 12. Or they have a mayonnaise spec and they're getting 5 different types of mayonnaise. They have a tenderloin spec and they're getting 12 different sizes of tenderloin sent to them, which obviously affects brand equity and guest experience. So there's a lot going on because of the pandemic and the furloughing of people or laying off of people. And again, Dana, as you're well aware, we have quite a few issues with just getting reports in from distributors because the person that done that for the last 20 years is no longer there. And the person that's handling the account at the highest level, you ask them and they've never done it before. So there's challenges. And I think it's universal. I don't think it's any one distributor. It's kind of universal in the industry, but the bottom line is that there are, because of the pandemic, there are quite a few issues, and the analytics are telling us that. Sharon, as a director of supplier relations, how's that pandemic affected product and pricing as you see it?
Gary, like you mentioned earlier, product availability is not reliable. Pricing on COVID demand items are up over 100% on some of the items. Distributors are also wary and extremely cautious about bringing up par levels on spec items. They're afraid of store closures. And LTLs and less than minimum orders are being placed due to reduction of sales and freight expenses passed on to the customer. Jerry and Dana, have you seen anything else?
Well, Sharon, I had a conversation yesterday with one of our seafood suppliers, one of our customers, very good suppliers for our customer base. And in talking to him, they're all furloughed. They left the 15th of March. They haven't been back in their building. And in his comment was, we've not seen a lot of hiccups, but he made this comment: we are shipping all product in all quantities with no minimum orders, because if we did not do that, we would not have business. All of the orders have compacted. They're selling, tremendous amount of LTL loads. They're doing everything they can to absorb some of that cost. But he was very adamant about the pandemic and the impact on their business and how they go to business, and the impact just overall on how they run their company. No different than us. We no longer are in the office since the pandemic started, and we're working from home, but we're set up to do that when we started the company in 2003. But I don't think we've skipped a whole lot of beats. So, there's people that have figured out how to do this and do it well, but there's others that haven't. And specifically with manufacturers, it's obviously put a big kink in the way they do business and the products that they sell and the quantities that are moving today. Well, obviously, what we do know is that things are not the same. They're not the same as they were on March 15th, and things have changed. And, they talk about what's normal. I can tell you what's normal today, and that is that all of our roles have changed at FSIC. And I think most roles have changed for people that are gainfully employed and working in the industry today. But I'll ask Sharon to start. We'll all talk about it. But Sharon, how has the pandemic changed your role in supplier relations since it started?
Oh, well, just as our clients, we've also had to start thinking out of the box to add additional support. There's a constant check and challenge to the price submission to our clients, additional product outsourcing and quality comparison to achieve lower cost of goods, as well as additional RFPs. We tap into resources like dairy boards, agricultural commissions, and supporting local manufacturers, who in turn will offer financial support to restaurant groups. There's a lot more vendor follow-up on programs, adding additional products to their program to make sure that their subs are covered and they get the same discounted price. And lastly, just continual follow-up on vendor and distributor reimbursements.
Dana, how's it affected you specifically in the area of data management, working with Matt and getting reports in from vendors or distributors? How has that impacted your role at FSIC and obviously your subordinates?
Well, there's a couple of parts to that. The first is that in working with customers, there's a lot more requests for getting information, whereas they used to just wait and we would do our monthlies and our quarterly reviews. There's a lot more detail that they're looking for because they are getting so many more subbed items, where they might get one item over the quarter, their spec item, and then 1 or 2 subs. They're now getting their spec item, but 9 to 15 different subs. So there's a lot more review on those products. From the distributor standpoint and the group that I have that works with the distributors, because the distributors have had a big issue with keeping their people, getting our reports is a lot more work. We're having to work through the managers and vice presidents of the organizations, because the people that were normally getting us our reports are no longer there. Because those people aren't there, the distributors are scrambling. We're having to go back to them 2 and 3 different times in order to get the information that we need to load in the system to prepare the reports so that we can get the information and service our accounts.
Well, thank you very much for listening in. And this is something that we're looking forward to doing on a fairly regular basis going forward. We have these conversations on a daily basis, like I said. We have these conversations with customers daily and also in our monthly and quarterly reviews. And one of the things that's come out and have been pretty consistent is a quote from the customer that says, flat out, it's a mess. And without the technology and monitoring that they're getting and we're able to provide, they say they would be flying blind. So again, we'll try to share what we can with you over the coming weeks. Have no idea when we will get back to where we were prior to the 15th of March, but all of us are hoping to get there at some point. In the meantime, we're going to do everything we can to support and help you during this time to get you all the information we can to help you be successful, because this industry means a lot to each and every one of us. Thank you very much for your time. Look forward to talking to you soon.